Prem Sivolo Jagadambika Mata Ki Jai. Welcome to Sankhya TV. Today we will be discussing the Navratri period, its rites and rituals, observances and significance as it pertains to our cultural heritage. This program is coming to you from the headquarters of the Sri Parameshwari Durga Devi Ashram Incorporated, and we are joining you, the national community, for this discussion on Maha Navratri. Prior to the start of the Navratri period, we will be in a period that is known as the Kalmas. In this, the first Maha Navratri, which commenced the Hindu New Year, before the start of this Maha Navratri, we observe one fortnight or a Paksh that is inauspicious to conduct any rites and rituals, and therefore it is known as Kalmas. What is Kalmas? In Trinidad, the dialect goes, we say Karwas. In Hindi, we say Kalmas. What is Kalmas? It is a period, an inauspicious period of time in which all rites and rituals pertaining to celebrations and observances are prohibited. For example, you will not conduct formal Devi Puja during this period of time. You will not conduct ceremonies such as Vivaha Samskar or the marriage ceremony. You will not engage in the performance of Yajna. You will not undertake auspicious and fruitful projects such as construction of new homes, the opening of new businesses, the purchase of new vehicles, etc. All of these activities that are meant for the progress and prosperity of the individual, they are not commenced in the period of Kalmas. It is important to note, however, that if these programs and activities such as building a new home or starting a new business has started prior to the start of the Kalmas period, you can safely continue during. The exemption from the Kalmas includes all rites and rituals pertaining to birth and all rites and rituals pertaining to death. For example, if a baby is born in the Kalmas period, you have to perform the 6 days and the 12 days ritual accordingly. If a death occurs in the Kalmas period, the funeral rituals followed by the shaving and the bandara must be conducted appropriately. They cannot be postponed. All other rituals such as wedding, pujas, yajnas, you must observe the rules of Kalmas, and therefore it should not commence during this period of time. From astrology, Kalmas usually starts from the Krishna Paksh of the month of Chaitra, which is the last Paksh of the Hindu year. In Vedic astrology, there is a rule that the ending of all tithis, nakshatra, yoga, karan, mas, all of these astrological factors, the ending phase of it produce a degree of inauspiciousness. Kalmas falls in the last Paksh or the last fortnight of the Hindu year, and therefore, being the ending of the Hindu year, it is considered a bit inauspicious. Then we come to the Maha Navratri. The Maha Navratri, this Navratri is known as Vasant Maha Navratri. Vasant Maha Navratri starts on the Shukla Paksh of the month of Chaitra on the Pratipata Tithi and ends on the Naumi Tithi of the Shukla Paksh of that same month of Chaitra. It is the first major observance in the Hindu New Year. Pratipata Tithi of the Shukla Paksh in the month of Chaitra also starts the first day of the Hindu New Year. So as Hindus, this is how we start our New Year, with fasting, pujas dedicated for 9 days to the feet of the Divine Mother. At the end of this Navratri, we will also celebrate Ram Navami, and a few days afterwards, that is on the Purnima Tithi, the first full moon of the Hindu year, we celebrate Hanuman Jayanti. So devotees, look at how our New Year starts compared to how the Western world starts their year. Our tradition teaches us that the beginning of all activities, if you put God first, if you seek the blessings of the divine, you are bound to be crowned with success. Compare that to the Western world where you have parties and fetes of all types, and at the end of it all, you have wasted a lot of time, money, resources, and some people don't even reach home safely. In the Hindu tradition, we start the new year with fasting and prayer dedicated to the feet of Durga Mata. Now the Navratri period is a period of heightened spiritual activity. It is meant for one's growth and development and to reconnect ourselves with the divine. Nava means 9. Ratri means night. So Navaratri means 9 nights dedicated to the feet of the Divine Mother. So before I go on and tell you what are some of the practices of these 9 days and nights, let us understand that there are a few other Navratri. We have the Vasant Mahanavratri, which is the first Navratri in the Hindu year, and roughly every year this coincides around the month of March or April, mid-March or the beginning of April. Then we have a minor Navratri, and this is known as Grisham Gupta Navratri, and that occurs somewhere around July month. In certain parts of India, it is also called Gayatri Navratri. It is a minor Navratri, it is not well known. Then we have another Mahanavratri, the Vasant Maha, the Sharad Mahanavratri, Sharad Mahanavratri ends with Vijaya Dasami. That is the third Navratri in the Hindu year. And then we have the fourth and final Navratri in the Hindu year, which is known as Hemant Gupta Navratri. And this one is known as Shakambari Navratri in certain parts of India. So the Gupta Navratris, they are minor, not well known. The Vasant Mahanavratri and the Sharad Mahanavratri, they are the big ones that everyone celebrates. So dear devotees, in the Hindu year, we observe 4 Navratri, 2 of which are very major and festive in nature, and 2 very minor and only very, very ardent devotees of the Divine Mother observe these. Now let us try to understand some of the traditional practices with the Navratri period. Associated with the Navratri period, one of the common practices will be the offering of your dhar. And what is your dhar made up of? Now today, we have a lot of commercially prepared dhar. Our tradition traditionally, some of us still do prepare our dar at home. But whether you purchase it in the puja stores or whether you make it at home, there are certain ingredients that must be used. So let us understand how to make our dar. To make this pakka dar that is specially offered during the Navratri period, first of all, we need to get some white rice. We need to get some sugar. We need to use camphor. We need to use clove. We need to use sindoor. We need to use saffron. We need to use nutmeg. And we need to use neem leaves. Ideally, these ingredients are grounded to form a powdery consistency and is mixed in a lota of milk or water. To that mixture, you can add a tulsi leaf and a red flower. The color red is very important during the Navratri period. And this dar can be offered by everyone, whether you're a man, woman, or child. This is the dar of the Divine Mother. And with all of your love and your devotion, with the lota in your hand, you repeat a simple mantra, Om, Aim, Hrim, Klim, Chamundaye, Viche, Nama. And you offer this dar unto the Divine Mother. You can offer this dar where your jandi is established. You can offer it on a tulsi tree. If you have access to a peepal tree, you can offer it there. At many homes during the Navratri period, it is customary to dig a little hole in the ground, leap it with a little gobar, and you offer the dar in that little hole. That is also acceptable, and it's also a good practice too, as the dirt is a symbol of Dharti Mata, which is a form of the Divine Mother. The gobar that is used to leap the ground is a symbol of Lakshmi Mata. So there you have the goddess present on the earth itself, and the dar offering is made unto her. Another tradition that is associated with the Navratri period is the performance of your Havan ritual. Now there are many procedures or vidhis for Havan. I will just discuss one simple procedure with you. Keep in mind, if you follow a different procedure, dear devotees, it doesn't mean to say it is wrong. I am just discussing a very simple format with you. The basic ingredients you will need for your Havan is your Havan kun, some pieces of wood or coals, camphor. You need to get some ghee, you need to get match, you need to get and your camphor to light. You will light your fire following any of the established procedures there. After lighting the fire, you may fan the fire a little, again using any of the established Havan procedures you have. And you can offer water around the fire according to the tradition of the Havan procedure you are following. Then you can do simple ghee offering into the fire. You can do this according to your convenience. The same mantra for the Devi, Om, Aim, Hrim, Klim, Chamundaye, Viche. You can make offering 9 times. You can make offering 108 times according to your convenience and your competence. Havan during the period of the Navratri is extremely beneficial. Another procedure that is also adopted during the Navratri period, devotees would get, prior to the start of the Navratri, they will get a whole coconut. That is the coconut with a husk. They will make sure it has water and it is not germinating. That is, no evidence of their roots or shoots projecting from the husk. And they will wrap this coconut in a piece of red cloth Some will opt to use a yellow cloth. According to the advice of your guru and your family tradition, both is correct. And in that wrapped coconut, sometimes they may sprinkle a little saffron, a little sindoor. Some people may add a little grains, they may add a little neem leaf. And they will have all of these things wrapped in that cloth, and they will put it on their altar, or on their bedi, or their puja room, or their little mandir. And they will do their devotion every day. And on the last day of the Navratri, that coconut becomes their Purnahoti, or their final offering. So after they perform their rituals, that is whether they choose to offer the dhar, or they light the diya, or they do the jap, they will conduct their havan on the last day of the Navratri, and they will offer that coconut into the fire. That is a common practice during the Navratri period too. And once that coconut is offered into the fire, it brings to a conclusion your Navratri Vrat. Another tradition during the Navratri period, a lot of people will host formal pujas at their home. They will invite their guru, their family pandit to come, and they will perform complete bedi puja. A lot of the mandirs and even a lot of the communities, they will host very elaborate yajnas and expound the glories and greatness of the Divine Mother in all her manifestations. All of these are customary practice during the Navratri period. Some people, they will perform pilgrimage. That is, they will go to various holy sites. In Trinidad, they will perform tirat, or they will go do a yatra, go from one mandir to another. In India, they will go from one holy spot to another. So the practices vary according to the person, according to the level of development, according to the cultural traditions of that family, or of that community, or of that country. But all of them reflect a heightened sense of spirituality, a heightened sense of spiritual growth. It is a time of renewal, a time of recommitment. The sound of the bell and the ghanta and the shankh fill the atmosphere of almost every village during the period of time of Navratri. And it serves to increase the positive energy in the environment. Therefore, Navratri is a period of time that is most beneficial for man, woman and child, for all families to sit and worship together. Now let us break up the 9 days of the Navratri. And there are many different schools of thought, all of which from our scriptures are correct. For example, there is one tradition that states the Navratri period, that period of 9 days, is broken up into 3 days segments. What are these 3 days segments about? The first 3 days we worship the goddess Durga Kali Mata. The second 3 days we worship Lakshmi Mata. The last 3 days we worship Saraswati Mata. According to Vedanta, this is a state of evolution of the Atma. Durga Mata, Kali Mata has to do with your physical energy. It has to do with karma yoga. And therefore you have to make a genuine effort. The individual is called upon to make a genuine effort to walk the path of spiritual growth and development. Also, the goddess Durga and Kali, they perform both a protective as well as a destructive role. That is, destroying all that threatens the stability of the cosmos on a personal level, everything that threatens your growth and development in life. And therefore, if you are going to progress in life, you cannot have threats hanging over you. Whether you're growing in your career, in education, in your family life, or you are growing spiritually, you cannot have threats hovering over you at all times. Therefore, you need to remove these threats. And therefore, the goddess Durga or Kali Mata, during the first 3 days of Navratri, by obtaining their blessings, all the threats are removed. Protection is given to the Atma, so that soul can make its forward journey. The second 3 days of the Navratri, we worship Lakshmi Mata. Lakshmi Mata has to do with the mind and the emotions, Iksha Shakti. And she is the goddess of prosperity. Wealth and prosperity are very commonly confused as meaning money. Wealth and prosperity also means good education, good health, good character, stable family life, stable job environment. It also means physical, tangible wealth like money and jewelry and property. But it also means spiritual growth and development also. And once the threats are removed, in the first 3 days of Navratri, the Atma graduates to the second 3 days, where he now starts to see the rewards of his hard work, where he is now propelled forward, where all the resources are given to that Atma to be able to achieve greatness or become one with God. This is the blessings of Lakshmi Mata. She provides all the resources necessary so you can grow and prosper. Then we come to the last 3 days of the Navratri, in which we would worship Goddess Saraswati, the mother of knowledge and enlightenment. Devi Saraswati, she helps the mind blossoms, the intelligent opens. Through her blessings, we know what is right and what is wrong. Having gone through those development on the first 3 days and the second 3 days, we now realize, we now have knowledge, and in these last 3 days, we get the knowledge and we realize the final goal of our objective. In a secular setting, that final goal will mean the accomplishment of important tasks in your daily life. And spiritually, it will mean you have become one with God. You have become a Jivan Mukta, or you have become liberated or realized. You have gained Brahma Gyan. To our students, you gain success in education. To our householders, you have achieved a fulfilling family life. To the career-oriented individual, you have achieved the pinnacle of your career. So the blessings of Saraswati Mata manifest itself in different ways according to your desire, according to your puja, according to your worship during the Navratri period. It comes accordingly. For those of us who are spiritually inclined, it represents spiritual growth and development. For those of you who are inclined towards worldly achievements, then we get the worldly achievements through the blessings of the Divine Mother. Also, in the Vasant Mahanavratri, on that last day we celebrate Ram Navami. What is the significance of Ram Navami coinciding with the last day of the Navratri? You have gone through development. You have developed yourself progressively through the 8 days. On the 9th day, Bhagwan himself manifests into your home. He takes birth into your life. That is why we celebrate Ram Navami. He sets up when Ram sits in the heart, then you experience what is called Ram Rajya, heaven upon earth. But you must go through the developmental stage first. You must go through the all 9 days. In the second Mahanavratri, that is the Sharad Mahanavratri, on the last day, after 9 days, you celebrate Vijayadasami. What is the significance of Vijayadasami? As the name says, Vijaya, you achieve victory. That is, you have conquered some obstacle in your life, or spiritually, you have conquered Maya, or those attributes which seeks to hold you from your growth and your development, hold you back from your growth and your development. So you celebrate Vijayadasami. In Devi Bhagavad, it is on the day of Vijayadasami that Mahishasur, the demon Mahishasur, was slain. And in Vedant, Mahishasur represents the corrupt ego. So Durga Mata killing Mahishasur on the day of Vijayadasami shows that on that day, after we have gone through 9 days of intense development, she will come herself on that 10th day and destroy the obstacle that prevents Atma from becoming one with Paramatma. She comes herself to redeem the soul, or to redeem her children from this world of misery. So this is the scientific reason or importance of observing the Navratri. It represents a development whether it's secular or whether it's spiritual. It all represents us developing ourselves. And every year when we observe the Navratri Vrat, we must be better off than we were the previous year. As human beings, as we go through life, we are going to make mistakes. We are going to have shortcomings. But every year that goes by, when we perform our annual pujas, when we perform our yagyas, when we undertake these vrats year after year after year, it must all assist in the progressive development. It makes no sense you do the same thing year after year and you're not improving yourself. The rites and rituals associated with Sanatana Dharma is meant that the more you practice, the more you develop yourself. And the more you develop yourself, the more you are going to become one with Bhagavan. Another concept of the Navratri, why 9? We say Navratri, we don't see Teen Ratri, or we don't see Do Ratri, or we don't say Panch Ratri. We say Navaratri. Why 9? Navaratri, or the 9 days of Navratri, represents the 9 aspects of Bhakti. This is Kali Yuga we are living in. In Kali Yuga, Bhakti Yoga dominates. It is the only pathway that guarantees success to God realization. So in Kali Yuga, Bhakti Yoga is the dominant aspect of yoga that is practiced. That is why Nam, Sankirtan, constantly chanting of the name of God in Kali Yuga, that aspect of Bhakti Yoga can take us to Godhead. The 9 days of Navratri represents the 9 stages of Bhakti. So as the Atma goes through, starting from the first day of the Navratri to the second, to the third, and so on, you climb the steps of Bhakti, one leading to the other. Learning from one step, you move forward to the other step, like a child going from primary school into secondary school into tertiary education. Developing yourself in this aspect of Bhakti. So by the time you reach the last day, just as in the Vasant Mahanavratri, Bhagwan manifests in your life, or in the case of the Sharad Mahanavratri, Durga Mata herself appears in front of you. This is the goal of Bhakti, where Bhagwan and Bhakta becomes one. Navaratri, the mother aspect of God, is worship. Sanatana Dharma is the only Dharma in the world which you will get an opportunity to worship God in mother form. No other established religion, past, present, has offered humanity an opportunity to worship God as mother. And in Sanatan Dharma, we have 9 days dedicated to remembering our mother. And this is called Navratri also. More specifically, Navratri originally started off in honor of the goddess Durga. And later on, as the different yugas passed and the different leelas started to become prominent, then the other goddesses, they also were being worshipped in the Navratri period. But the very first Navratri, the goddess Durga was worshipped. So we now look at Navadurga, or the 9 aspects of Durga Mata. Each one of them are worshipped on a different day of the Navratri. So let us understand these 9 forms of Durga briefly. The first form of Durga, she is known as Shailaputri Mata. She is worshipped on the first day of every Navratri. And basically speaking, this avatar of Durga Mata took birth in the home of Himavant. She is depicted as a young child, a young girl, very fair in complexion, with 2 hands. She holds a Trishul in one hand and a lotus bud in the other hand. This is the child form of Durga Mata. And in Vedic astrology, this form of the Devi presides over the horoscope of Cancer, and therefore becomes the ruling Devi of that sign of the zodiac. By worshipping Shailaputri Mata on the first day of the Navratri, all types of disorders that are associated with the mind and the emotions, such as nervous conditions, suicidal tendencies, fertility problems, apart from mental problems, also fertility problems, circulation problems, all of these can be remedied with the blessings of Shailaputri Mata. Also, if you're having trouble with your ancestral lineage, by the worship of Shailaputri Mata, you are able to gain the blessing of your female ancestors. On the second day of the Navratri, we worship Brahmacharini Mata. Brahmacharini Mata is represented as a teenage girl. She is walking barefooted. She holds the Kamandal in one hand and she holds the Jap Mala in the other hand. Shailaputri Mata, she governs the planet Mangal. Therefore, Mangal or Mars. And she also rules the zodiac sign of Aries and Scorpio. Both of these signs are ruled by the planet Mars. And since Brahmacharini Mata rules the planet Mars, she will also have lordship over these 2 signs of the zodiac. So if you're a person who gets into frequent accidents, you are exposed to a lot of violence, you are in the protective services, then the worship of Brahmacharini Mata will benefit you a lot. This worship is to be undertaken on the second day of the Navratri. On the third day of the Navratri, we worship Chandra Ganta Mata. This form of the Devi is a grown woman. And as the name indicates, her face is radiant like the full moon. She also has the moon on her forehead. She holds a variety of weapons in her hands, and she is ever ready to protect her devotees. This form of Durga Mata also represents the married woman. In her hands, she holds many, many bells and shank, the shank that we blow in puja. And the origin of these instruments in our puja, ganta means bell. So in puja we have two types of bell. We have the bell Baba would ring with his own hand, and then you will have the other ganta, which you all will beat with a little hammer. Both of them are different type of bell. And then you will have Baba will blow the shank. In Devi Bhagavad, there were many demons that were given trouble. And the rishis complained to Durga Mata and called upon her for help. And she appeared on the scene and started to sound these divine instruments. And the sound produced, the Brahmanara that was produced from these instruments destroyed the negative energy the demons were creating in the atmosphere. Then she handed these instruments over to the Brahmins and said, "Oh holy ones, in your rites and rituals, use these instruments and my energy or my Shakti will be there to guarantee success in your rituals." So on the third day of the Navratri, Chandraghanta Mata is worshipped. In Vedic astrology, she governs the planet Venus or Shukra, as well as the zodiac sign of Taurus and Libra. So things like your spouse, if you're having trouble finding a good husband or a good wife, the worship of Chandraghanta Mata can help you. If you have problems with all types of viral sickness and diseases, if you're having problems with vehicles, like vehicle always breaking down or people stealing your vehicles and so on, worshipping Chandraghanta Mata can remedy all of those things. If you're having, if you're in the field of social work, worshipping Chandraghanta Mata can make you a great humanitarian. It is by her blessings we have Seva, people willing to take up these volunteer type work to help out the less fortunate in society. On the fourth day of the Navratri, we worship Kushmanda Mata. This is that avatar of Durga Mata that helped Lord Brahma brought life into existence. Now what scientists would call the Big Bang Theory is really and truly the energy of Kushmanda Mata. After Brahma received instruction that creation should start, he could not get the elements to combine as they were too gross. After discussing the problem with Vishnu and Shiva, they decided to call upon the Divine Mother. And upon answering the prayers of Lord Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, Devi Durga, she says, simply smile. And from the energy that was produced, a burst of light came into existence. And so the atoms were able to combine, and the universe came into existence, and ever since, life started to appear on earth. So the Big Bang is really that point in time when Durga Mata, through her smile, released the energy of the cosmic creation. So she's called Kushmanda Mata. She resides in the core of the sun. Therefore, she will govern the sun and the zodiac sign of Leo. So those of us who are in leadership authority positions, we leadership authority, we are into politics, we are into administration. Worshipping Kushmanda Mata will help us administer with fairness and in accordance with law. We will not tempted to become corrupted. Also, this form of Durga Mata helps with the physical health of the body. Since the sun is the deity that presides over the physical health of the body, if you have ailments that are requiring long-term treatment or complicated health situations. The worship of Kushmanda Mata on the 4th day of the Navratri can help alleviate your health problems. If you are having problems on the job with bosses and so on, or senior management, you can worship Kushmanda Mata to remove that troubling difficulty from your work environment. But also by worshipping Kushmanda Mata, you will also gain the blessings of your male ancestors. Then we come to the 5th day of the Navratri and we worship Skanda Mata. Skanda Mata is that form of goddess Durga, that avatar of Durga Mata that blesses us with healthy, happy, well-disciplined children. As her name implies, Skanda refers to Kumar Kartikeya. Mata means mother, the mother of Skanda. She blesses the home with Dharma, Arth, Kam and Moksha, with Dharma being the foundation of the family life. In Vedic astrology, she governs the planet Mercury or Buddha, and therefore she will also control the sign Gemini and Virgo. This form of the Divine Mother has a lot to do with communication, intelligence, common sense thinking. This form of the Divine Mother helps pass on family values and tradition from one generation to the other. She bridges generational gaps. Nowadays, a lot of parents are having trouble with their teenage children. Through the blessings of Kushmanda Mata, you can overcome the communication barriers in your home. If you're having problems communicating even in your work environment, you can worship Kushmanda Mata for help. You can also worship Kushmanda Mata for help in education. Since the basis of all forms of education is transmitting knowledge and information. People who have speech disorder, for example, like stammering, the worshipping of Kushmanda Mata can help you overcome these troubling difficulties. Kushmanda Mata again is worshipped on the 5th day of every Navratri. Then we come to the 6th form of goddess Durga, and she is worshipped as Katyayani Mata. She is worshipped on the 6th tithi or the 6th day of the Navratri period. When Durgamam had stolen the Vedas, the demon by the name of Durgam had stolen the Vedas, he was creating untold misery upon earth. One of the avatars of Durga Mata that came to save humanity from being annihilated was Katyayani Mata. And this avatar of Durga Mata, she dislikes injustice. She likes fairness. She likes tell the truth. She likes law and order. And Durgam was upsetting the natural order, the natural laws of creation. And therefore she appeared on the scene and put an end to him, retrieving the Vedas and rescuing humanity from destruction. This form of Durga Mata governs Guru, the planet Jupiter. And therefore she will also control the zodiac sign of Sagittarius and Pisces. This form of Durga Mata, as I state, likes truth. She loves law and order. She likes fairness, but she also promotes spiritual growth and development. And she also promotes higher education. So those of you who are studying at postgraduate level, the worship of Katyayani Mata could help you in your research, in your thesis, in your fieldwork. For those of us who are in the spiritual field, she blesses those individuals who are sincere with spiritual leadership positions. She grants blessings to make them founders and heads of religious and charitable institutions. These are some of the manifestations of the blessings of Katyayani Mata. After the worship of Katyayani Mata, the next form or the next avatar of Durga Mata is Kalaratri Mata, or simply Kali Mata. She is worshipped on the 6th day of every Navratri. Kali Mata has everything to do with protection. She destroys everything that threatens the stability and progress of her devotees. If you are in danger of any form and kind, whether it's spiritually or physically, the calling upon Kali Mata can help. If you're living in a community where there is a lot of violence and a lot of negative behavior, such as drug abuse, criminal tendencies, all of these things can be quelled by the worship of Mahakali Mata, following the established rules and regulations in our scriptures. Once the deity or any deity or devata is worshipped following our scriptures, not figments of someone's imagination, once the proper pujas and the proper mantras and the proper offerings are made, all the deities will respond in a favorable manner. Mahakali Mata, she presides over she controls the Graha, Shani or Saturn. Therefore, she will also preside over the horoscope, the zodiac sign of Capricorn and Aquarius. Mahakali Mata, therefore, will determine our longevity. Everything that is dangerous, she will put an end to it. She allows for slow but steady and progressive growth. She allows individuals to become introspective. It is only with the blessings of Mahakali Mata can you have success in meditation. Stability and calmness of the mind is given by Kali Mata. Since Shani is one of the planets that deals with meditation, Kali Mata presiding over Shani or Saturn can also bless that individual with success in the field of meditation. Spiritual healing is another attribute of Shani and is given also by Kali Mata. Also, her anger brings one's downfall and destruction very easily. Since everyone is afraid of Shani Graha and Shani Sarasati, which is a very destructive period of time that Shani can influence you with, if Kali Mata is displeased with you, she can easily cause your downfall. That is why I stress worship according to the traditions of the scriptures and not the figment of your imagination must be conducted at all time. And her blessings are easily obtained on the 7th day of every Navratri period. Then we come to the 8th day of the Navratri and we worship Mahagauri Mata. Mahagauri is the fair form of Durga Mata. Very fair. Gauri means white in complexion. She is the householder Devi. When you do Durga Mata Puja and you put up a yellow flag, that is Gauri Mata Puja you are performing. She is another name for Gauri is Grihasti Durga. She is worshipped as the Durga of the household. Therefore, a virtuous wife in the Vaishnava tradition represents Lakshmi Mata. In the Shivite tradition, a virtuous wife represents Gauri Mata. So too, Gauri Mata deals with the progress, the stability and security of one's home and one's family life. Mahagauri Mata, she is always on the lookout for threats towards the stability of her devotees. She blesses all her devotees with whatever is their heart's desire. And after blessing them with their heart's desire, if there is anyone or anything, naturally or unnaturally, that tries to prevent her devotees from being happy, then she is only too ready and able to put an end to that destruction. That is why in Vedic astrology, she governs no sign of the zodiac but has power over all of them. She controls the Graha Rahu. Since Rahu wherever he is in your horoscope creates a lot of trouble and difficulty, Mahagauri is not bounded by time and space and is not assigned to a particular sign of the zodiac, can go wherever Rahu is exerting his negative energy and disrupt his negative work. Mahagauri Mata therefore deals with peace and prosperity and progress and success in one's life. Then on the final day of the Navratri, the 9th day, we worship the goddess Durga in the form of Siddhadatri Mata. As the name indicates, Siddhi means success. So you would have gone from a little child to an aged adult, and at that stage you have lived a fulfilling life, and therefore the boons and the blessings of Siddhadatri Mata now comes. Spiritually, Siddhadatri Mata means one who is possessed of supernatural ability. Secularly, Siddhadatri Mata or Siddha represents a very successful person in society. And the worship of Siddhadatri Mata on the last day of the Navratri guarantees you success in everything that you do and allows you to achieve complete fulfillment in this life and moksha in the spiritual realms. So she blesses you as Gauri Mata on the 8th day with everything you need to live comfortable. On the 9th day, she blesses you spiritually as Siddhadatri Mata and take you away, fulfilling your mission upon earth and take you to her realms. Siddhadatri Mata, like Gauri Mata, does not govern any sign of the zodiac, but she controls the graha Ketu. Now Ketu and Rahu, they create a lot of difficulty, a lot of trouble, a lot of trauma in one's horoscope and in one's life. And Siddhadatri Mata, like Mahagauri, wherever these troubles and difficulties that comes, once it is something to obstruct you from achieving your final goal, Siddhadatri Mata is there to put an end to it. So these are the 9 Durga. Shailaputri Mata on the 1st day, Brahmacharini Mata on the 2nd day, Chandraganta Mata the 3rd day, Kushmanda Mata on the 4th day, Skanda Mata on the 5th day, Katyayani Mata on the 6th day, Kali Mata on the 7th day, Mahagauri Mata on the 8th day, and Siddhadatri Mata on the 9th day. These are the Nava Durga, or the 9th form of Durga. And if you look at it, it is from a little child, a little girl child, right up until an accomplished woman. So you have the complete life of a human being from the time you're born until the day you're ready to leave this earth. The goddess blesses you in such a manner you can achieve your goals, your mission upon earth. So dear devotees, when we perform our devotion during the Navratri period, whether we dedicate all 9 days and nights to the feet of the Divine Mother Durga, or whether we break it up into the 3 segments, that is the Lakshmi, the Durga and the Saraswati, or we perform our own family traditions like our formal pujas and yagyas and so on, whatever format you choose to adopt, all is correct. Because no 2 persons are the same level spiritually. Some of us will be satisfied with just offering that pakadar alone. Some of us will go and perform havan. Some of us will arrange our gurus to come to our home to perform puja. Some of us will host very elaborate yagyas. Some of us will do a lot of fasting. During the Navratri period, I know there's a lot of us who don't eat salt or cook food at all. So depending on the level of your development, you do it, but do it with the understanding that you are developing yourself. And when you do it again in the next Navratri, you must be better than the previous one. And as the years go by, each one must be much better than the past. And only in that way can you progress, can you prosper, can you achieve the blessings of your fasting, of your pujas, of your yagyas. Prem se bolo Jagadambika Durga Mata ki Jai. So dear devotees, we have looked at the Navratri, we have looked at some of the traditional practices in terms of rituals and offerings, and we have looked a little bit of the goddess in her multiple forms. and her function. It is my desire, it is my wish that you will take this information and try in some way to put it into practice. On behalf of myself, on behalf of the members of the Sri Parameshwari Durga Devi Ashram Incorporated, I wish all of you a Shubha Navratri period. And may God bless you and your family richly. On my behalf, on behalf of the ashram, on behalf of Sankhya TV, I bid you Shubhamastu.